Here we go. This is the biggest news story in a while for Niger, Africa, and for Africa in general. I've been covering the story. I've been covering Niger for about a year and a half now, and it's all coming to an end, folks. The last thing I expected, now I know historically speaking this happens a lot, the last thing I expected is that the French would actually leave Niger. I thought the French were actually going to stick around and fight. I thought they were going to band together with ECOWAS and perform a military intervention. But it looks like it's over, folks. The French are leaving Niger, Africa. Now, when I say the French military, but still, this is a big deal. This is massive. Because, again, the French have been boasting that they're prepared to support ECOWAS. ECOWAS says they're ready to fight, but as suspected, ECOWAS does not have a proper force ready to even invade Niger. And so, yeah, this is pretty much all we're getting because this is just happening right now. President Emmanuel Macron says France will end military presence in Niger. Now, this is pretty big implications because that's going to sort of leave the U.S. military to fend for themselves in Niger. And so, if I had to guess, I'm going to assume that the U.S. military will probably follow suit and go to another African country. That's my prediction. But of course, I've been wrong about this. I thought the French were going to stay and hash it out. I give them credit, though. They did leave their ambassador there for a while, even amongst all the riots. So this is like all they're saying right here. French President Emmanuel Macron said Sunday that France will end its military presence in Niger and pull its ambassador out of the country after its democratically elected president was deposed in a coup. And so when I did some more looking this up again, as I'm doing this live, this just happened. So if you're here, make sure to like the live stream, and then I will be posting the video, but make sure you guys are liking. Appreciate you guys. This is from AP. President Macron says France will end its military presence in Niger and pull ambassador after the coup. President Emmanuel Macron announced Sunday that France will end its military presence in Niger and pull its ambassador out of the country after its democratically elected president was deposed in a coup. Okay, again, we know that. The announcement is significant if predicted blow to France's policy in Africa. I think this... Sorry, I don't know if you guys can see this. Another country to kick the French out is a massive blow to the French and their policies in Africa. This has a lot of implications considering France gets their uranium, 15% of uranium from Niger, and now you're dropping off or leaving your the military behind. They're out of there. The announcement is significant if predicted a blow to France's policy in Africa, and French troops pulled out of neighboring Mali and Burkina Faso in recent years after the coups there. Which, in case you're not aware, Burkina Faso and Mali have also kicked them out. France had stationed thousands of troops in the region at the request of African leaders to fight the bad guy groups. Bro, you can't just make that big of a deal about something then just give up that instantly. I agree. The French were willing to take on riots. The French left their ambassador behind. Their embassy had holes in their windows. It almost went up in flames. They cut the electricity and the water, and then all of a sudden they're like, all right, we're out of here. Peace out. Now, I'll show you why the French were sort of pinned in a corner. Because there was an event that led up to this, and I'll show you this here in a second. There were two breaking news stories here. This one's the bigger one, but I'll show you what led up to this event real quick. Hold on. France has maintained some 1,500 troops in Niger since the July coup and had repeatedly refused an order by the new junta for its ambassador to leave, saying that France didn't recognize him, the coup leaders, as legitimate. Now, I can only imagine Mohamed Bazoum, who's being held captive right now, is like, I thought you guys had my back. What the heck happened? So here's what I think really happened, and this is sort of the start of every conflict. I mean, historically speaking, this is what happened. So Niger had banned French aircraft from its airspace. And when you do this, this is the ultimate sign of we are prepared for conflict, because if you fly anything, a helicopter, a prop plane, an airliner, we could take you out immediately. So this is sort of, the start of it all. Niger's, and again, the French are out now, so I don't know how they're going to deal with this, because are the French going to take a bus out of there? Niger's airspace is open to all national and international commercial flights except for French aircraft or aircraft chartered by France, including those of the airline Air France. Remember this, France has close ties to Niger. There's a lot of people within Niger who are citizens of France, so this, again, is a really big deal. Somebody said Niger doesn't have AA. You're highly mistaken, buddy. Niger has a lot of stuff that you can't say on here. The airspace would remain closed for all military, operational, and other special flights, unless receiving prior authorization, which I would assume is the authorizing of the French leaving. Air France told AFP simply that it was not flying over Niger airspace. Niger had reopened its airspace on September 4th for commercial flights after having closed for nearly a month. The West African nation then announced on August 6th it was closing its airspace due to the threat of an intervention. So they opened it and closed it, and then opened it, and now closed it again. As the ECOWAS states threatened military action, therefore elected President Mohamed Bazoum, who had been overthrown in a coup. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. Now, the biggest implication upon all of this is I don't know what the U.S. military is going to do. At this point, if the French are willing to leave, I know that the U.S. military and the French, they're not the same thing, but they were doing the same mission. And even though the U.S. and the French are not working side by side on every single operation, and the United States has always been in good standing with a lot of African nations, even especially Niger. Niger didn't kick the U.S. out. If I had to take a wild guess, I am going to assume the United States doesn't want to stick around to find out or end up like the French. The U.S. are not even able to do their mission right now. They're only able to fly defensive missions or reconnaissance missions, if you will, but they can only attack militant groups if the U.S. feels threatened. And so, yeah. I think they're going to go to Nigeria. They've already sort of speculated, and the French are in Nigeria. So it's not like the French are totally out of Africa. But again, it's just another country that the French have sort of lost out on. And the United States is not going to leave this area of Africa. This is the Sahel region. This is where the fight happens. These are where all the bad guys are. And so I don't know. I don't see the U.S. falling in the same situation where there might be some misinformation happening. Russia could be involved in saying, look what the U.S. did. They're hurting people. Yeah. Again, if you're just joining, we're doing this live. The president of France said we are leaving Niger. Other than that, it's really hard to find news beyond that. We're going to have to wait to see what the U.S. is going to do, the Pentagon. Because this is all just happening right now. And it's all, you'll come to realize that every single news agency just steals from one another. So yeah, like I said, I've been covering this for a while now, and I think a lot of you have been with me since the beginning. And I will say this, I think most of us thought the French were going to stay, considering the ambassador was just sort of left in a compound, just left there to rot. Somebody said the French doesn't own Niger. God bless Niger, but the U.S. needs to go too. Fair enough, the French do not own Niger. So yeah, that is currently what's going on. Again, this is all just happening right now. If we do this live, like, we can go to ABC and see what they're saying. Yeah, it's the same thing over and over. I think this is a really bad move, though, to be honest with you. I wish that Niger could have figured out a way to keep the French military, but kick out maybe French entities. Because if the French are leaving, again, I think the U.S. is going to leave. If you disagree with me, you can leave a comment. Yeah. Any comments over here you guys have to say? I've heard that the Tuareg tribes declare war on Wagner. Hey, we might as well talk about Wagner here. I think this is going to open up the door for Russian PMCs. Maybe not Wagner, but definitely some sort of Russian element to go into Niger. I don't think it's out of the question. And it also seems to be the trend. From Sudan to Mali to Burkina Faso. Niger jokingly kind of talked to Wagner when Prigozhin was still alive, Yevgeny Prigozhin, but it never actually happened. Wagner will not be in Niger as long as the United States is in, and that is probably the only way the United States will actually stay in Niger, Africa, is just to not let Wagner get in. Because if Wagner gets in, I think the next country to fall is the rest of ECOWAS, the smaller countries of ECOWAS. Somebody said the U.S. will want to control the uranium production. I don't think so. I think the U.S. has more interest in an oil pipeline going up into Europe. But I was going to do a video on that later. And yes, make sure to like the live stream. Again, if you're just joining, the French are leaving Niger, Africa, according to the president. Now, this would be crazy if this was a total scam and they're actually going in on military intervention. Again, the whole thing is this. If the French are leaving, this might open up the door for ECOWAS to go in and do whatever they need to do. So, at this point, anything goes. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. So this is like the trend. Let me look this up. African countries who have kicked the French out. It's going to be a lot. Yeah, everyone in ECOWAS has. It's a lot. A lot of former French colonies. Former French colonies, yeah, a lot of them kick them out. Macron spreading fake news. I don't know. I don't know if he's spreading fake news. Ivory Coast, Congo, etc. Yeah, I was going to do a video on the Congo where it's sort of ramping up out there. The French have gotten into a little incident out there where one of their bases was actually stormed due to an incident, and there's a lot more Russian movement out there. Right now, though, really the one African country, well, two, who are really in massive armed conflict is Mali and Sudan. But as far as Niger goes, it looks like it'll be more of a peaceful nation, I think, now that the French are leaving. But we'll see. I've shown graphs before that every single country that the French has left, there's been more militant groups, but the U.S. has never really been involved. So with the French leaving and now the U.S. is there, either the U.S. has to deploy more troops in Niger, or they gotta leave, like straight up. So, yeah, that's currently what's going on. Thank you guys for watching the live stream. And so this is all just happening. Maybe we'll get some more news later. But yeah, French are leaving. Make sure you guys go comment and like the posted video. It helps me out a ton. Thank you guys so much. And we'll see you all later.